Putin says that Russia will do its best to render Geneva II conference a success and stop the bloodshed in Syria. Lavrov and Zarif affirmed that combating terrorism in Syria has become a priority and the Syrians themselves are the ones who determine their future without foreign intervention. Syrian Arab army units continue chasing terrorists in Homs, Aleppo and Hama, inflicting heavy losses upon them. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Yarado Krikorian from the Syrian television. The Russian President Vladimir Putin has said his country will do its best to ensure the Geneva II conference's success in launching dialogue among the Syrian parties and stopping the bloodshed. Receiving the credentials of a number of ambassadors at the Kremlin, Putin underlined the need of consolidating the initial results that have been reached in connection with a number of major international issues, including the Syrian and Iranian questions. President Putin underlined the need of the participation in the conference of all the sides capable of solving the crisis positively. We will do our best to ensure that the conference succeeds in launching dialogue and putting an end to the senseless confrontations and bloodshed, Putin stressed. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and his Iranian counterpart Mohammad Jawad Zarif have stressed that combating terrorism in Syria is the priority of both countries, affirming Russia's and Iran's interest in uprooting terrorism in Syria according to UN resolutions and statements. In a joint press conference with his Iranian counterpart, Lavrov said, "We all insist on the sovereignty of the Syrian state, the integrity of the Syrian territories and the protection of all the Syrian people's rights." He also voiced keenness to see Syria living in peace and security with its neighbors. He pointed out that these stands have been emphasized by UN resolutions, including Resolution 2118 and the Geneva I statement. Lavrov reiterated his country's call for the need of Iran's participation in Geneva II, pointing out that Russia affirmed during its meeting a few days ago with American Secretary of State John Kerry and the UN envoy to Syria Al-Akhdar al-Ibrahimi its stand in favor of inviting Iran to attend the conference, being an influential state interested in finding a peaceful solution to the crisis in Syria. On his part, Zarif said the solution to the crisis in Syria is purely political, reiterating Iran's emphasis that there is no military solution for it. Zarif said that after Geneva I, Iran welcomed the agreement reached, particularly the decision taken about the need to solve the crisis politically. He pointed out that Iran will accept the invitation to take part in Geneva II without preconditions and will accept no additional condition other than those addressed to the rest of the participants in the conference. Zarif said foreign sides should not make dictates on the Syrian people, who should decide their own future. Zarif added that the Syrians must sit at the table of negotiations to decide their future through self-expression and public elections. The Iranian foreign minister praised Russia's efforts to solve the crisis in Syria through peaceful means and create the appropriate circumstances for a solution on the basis of an internal Syrian decision without foreign interventions. The Russian Foreign Ministry has announced that the Foreign and Expatriates Minister, Mr. Walid al-Muallim, will hold talks in Moscow tomorrow, Friday, with his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov. In a statement, the Russian Foreign Ministry said the meeting will focus on the preparations for the Convention of Geneva II on Syria. It added that Geneva II is called upon to launch inter-Syrian dialogue with the participation of representatives of the Syrian government delegation and the opposition on the basis of the Geneva statement issued on the 30th of June 2012 without preconditions. The Russian Foreign Ministry statement added that the solutions to be reached within this Geneva process should be the outcome of an agreement among the Syrian parties and should not be imposed by any side taking part in the talks. The statement added that during the talks with Minister Muallim, reference will be made to the problem of implementing UN Security Council's Resolution 2118 and the Russian side's practical assistance in implementing the plan of the chemical weapons elimination in Syria. Emphasis should be laid, the statement said, on the importance of overcoming the difficulties that stand in the way of this process. The statement added that the agenda of the upcoming meeting tomorrow includes discussion of the prospects of continuing the objective aspects in the Russian-Syrian bilateral relations and the issues of the Russian humanitarian assistance to the Syrian people. The statement affirmed Russia's determination to closely work side by side with the American partners and the UN in order to create an appropriate atmosphere on the eve of the international conference, and that the Syrian government and the opposition should take a number of tangible measures of humanitarian nature. Army units seized 2 vehicles loaded with weapons and stolen items in the central province of Hama. The vehicles confiscated in Jinan village in the province contain weapons, ammunition, missiles and satellite broadcasting devices in addition to stolen medicines. Units of the Syrian Arab Army foiled an infiltration attempt by terrorists into Al-Masabir, killing and wounding dozens of them. The army also eliminated an armed gang in Al-War, which was firing mortar shells on safe areas. Army units also targeted terrorist gatherings west of the post office in Al-Rastan, in addition to Bab Houd, Al-Khalidiyya and Ad-Dar Al-Kabira. Also in Homs, army units confronted an armed terrorist group which tried to infiltrate from Al-Hula into safe areas, taking advantage of heavy fog, killing and wounding scores of them. A military source told TV correspondent that the infiltration attempt into Al-Ushsiya and Fulla was foiled as the army killed all members of the group, adding that other groups fired mortar shells, injuring a number of citizens. Army units destroyed terrorist dens in Daraa and its surroundings, eliminating all weapons and ammunition inside them. Armed terrorist groups were liquidated in the northeast of the Technical Institute in Dar al-Balad and northeast of Atman town as their criminal tools were destroyed. In Iraq, Iraqi army attacked terrorists belonging to Daesh organization, killing and wounding big numbers of them. Al Jazeera forces supported by Iraqi Air Force destroyed a convoy loaded with weapons near the Syrian-Iraqi borders, killing 8 and captured the military commander of the terrorist organization, Jordanian Maher al-Jarshi, as he was trying to cross from Syria into Al-Anbar province. In Al-Azim Basin, Dijla command forces killed 19 terrorists, including the top leader and 2 of his assistants, in addition to confiscating a factory for preparing explosive belts and devices. In Lebanon, 4 people were killed and 26 others were wounded following a terrorist explosion by a car bomb near a government building in Hermel, northeast of the country. Lebanese sources stressed that the explosion occurred near 3 banks and government offices, including the Lebanese National Media Office. The explosion left heavy damages on 3 adjacent buildings. The place was crowded with ordinary citizens who were obtaining papers and documents. 5 people, including 4 children, have been injured in a series of Israeli air raids on the Gaza Strip. In Gaza, witnesses said planes attacked 5 different sites and explosions could be heard across the Strip. In retaliation, Palestinian resistance men launched rockets into settlements in Asqalan area, causing no casualties. In Egypt, the new draft constitution gained big support among the Egyptian citizens, as turnout was high according to unofficial results, despite the desperate attempts by the Muslim Brotherhood to block the referendum process. Ballot boxes started counting votes as initial results showed that 95% voted in favor of the new constitution in different governorates. Back to our local news, the Syrian Scientific Olympiad concludes its activities in Damascus today as the names of the winners have been announced.
The Syrian Scientific Olympiad concluded its activities in Damascus today. The names of the winners have been announced. During the honorary ceremony held at Al-Assad House for Culture and Arts in Damascus, the students taking part in the Olympiad praised the efforts exerted by the Olympiad Commission in preparing and training the students in order to be efficient, referring to their enthusiasm in participating in the various phases of the Olympiad with the objective of attaining distinguished results in international circles.
We participate in various scientific subjects like mathematics, physics, chemistry, and informatics, also biology. We compete on the level of Syria. Different students from all around Syria, best 10 each year, are chosen to be the Syrian national team, which will later be chosen to participate in all other international Olympiad.
We shared in the Syrian Scientific Olympic because we believe in our abilities and in our country. We want to prove that we can do a lot, even that we have some accidents in our country. But we believe that we are the guys and the teenagers must build this country and must share in this future.
The success of the Olympiad was a challenge for all science and knowledge seekers. It was not only intended to probe students' information, but also to train them and provide them with practical knowledge.
Now to latest business and market news, but after a short break, stay tuned.